killing the inhibitor turret, whereas Cloud9 was in a very reactive state. And Cloud9 hasn't been able to win by playing reactive. They have to be able to get the proactive plays going. And a lot of that happens by just picking a super strong team fighting team and forcing the other team to respawn.
It's dots and drafts, so we'll see what we have in store for game number 2. Cloud9 down 0-1 to Immortals, but we'll get the first pick and ban here in this particular champ select. Karma banned away, Vladimir banned away on the Immortals side, so stuff is standard so far as Cloud9 gonna take off Rumble as well, actually, away from Huni.
Yeah, ban what beats you. Classic strategy. They actually ended up banning 3 mid laners when they were on red side, and it looks like Immortals is seemingly tasked with those bans now. Curious to see, after hearing Wild Turtle speak about Meteos and Rek'Sai, trying to get him out of his comfort zone. If we see a Rek'Sai as the final ban from Immortals, I think that'll depend a little bit on Cloud9's final ban. Although they seem... Cloud9 is kind of banning out all the stuff you would want to first pick, which totally opens up for Rek'Sai ban. If they would have left the Rise up, they could have first picked it or that or Rek'Sai, but they didn't play that game.
Yeah, I think Cloud9 respect the pick a lot. We'll take away the Rise, so Immortals gonna deny that jungle away from Meteos. What do we have in store for first pick though? Does Impact just take a safe top lane, or does he want the Trundle again? That's a pick that we've seen do work for a lot of different teams. Questions here for Cloud9 in the draft, and like we said, they will have to clean things up. You're on blue side, what's your priority pick?
Trundle showed so much prowess in their series against Team Liquid. Braum is their team fighting support pick. I can absolutely justify this from the Cloud9 side, and that'll be it.
All right, so Lenny Fufu out. No Thresh this time. It'll be Smoothie back on the Braum. We'll see what Immortals have here, though, because I feel like with the way they drafted, yes, a lot of the expected, like basically the top 4 AP picks are now out, but an awful lot open here for Immortals in this draft phase, where I think, again, that Rise Rek'Sai trade just favoring them a little bit more in the early stages of the draft.
We're going to see that Victor finally come through? You never know.
Maybe. No one wanted it last game. But no Karma this time for Pobelter, so maybe they just pick it here. Maybe Rainover also just takes Nidalee. Looked pretty good on it. It's a champion that's been, I'm going to say player and team specific more than anything else, but hey, if he likes it, might as well play it.
Yeah, and if they're playing an up-tempo style that tries to create pressure in all lanes, Nidalee is a very strong pick in that. Also, when they combo the Soraka with the Nidalee, it creates such a powerful siege. Soraka can infinitely heal because she doesn't get low on health, because Nidalee can heal the Soraka. It's actually an insane synergy.
And guess who debuted this one? It was Immortals, last split.
They did it.
So going back to basics for them. We'll see how they finish the rest of that comp, but cards really on the table now, honestly, for Immortals. If Cloud, I don't know what this does.
Exactly.
I don't know where they've been.
And Immortals is very confident in this because technically, if they're thinking of a poke siege composition, Braum's good against that. He can block a lot of Nidalee spears and block a lot of general poke, but Immortals just thinks that combination is so overpowering, they're willing to pick it straight into one of the counters.
Well, Cloud9, 20 seconds left for picks 2 and 3. See Coach Reaper there, always with that steely gaze. What does he have in store for the draft? It's Cloud9 gonna have to tighten things up here a little bit. Looks like picks are almost look to lock in though. They're taking their time. Cloud9 again, being very deliberate this champ select.
Yeah, I hope they get strong initiation to go up against Soraka and Nidalee. Sivir and Graves will help with that. Obviously, they had the Sivir last game as well, but this time, they're most likely not having to run into a Zyra, which I think was really unfortunate last time, and Meteos did have quite a strong Graves game earlier this week.
Yep, looks just fine. It's in Nidalee as well, so I think power in the right places so far. Immortals, though, I imagine Jhin is the champion you want here in this sort of composition. Total, obviously a great AD carry player, but Jhin really solidifies that poke comp, and actually Aurelia early for Huni. They're going to give Pobelter that counter pick in mid lane.
Yeah, the Aurelia doesn't necessarily fit the whole poke comp style, but it does speak to a very up-tempo game from Immortals. Pobelter has a lot of faith in his ability to beat up on impact with the Aurelia. We've seen him snowball some games in the past. Aside from that, though, like that team composition doesn't have the highest amount of synergy for Immortals.
No, but certainly strong picks for them. And Huni always loves to be aggressive in his lane. We'll see what Cloud9 do to finish this draft off, though. You mentioned initiation or team fighting here. They'll need a big team fighting mid laner and probably some sort of initiation. That would fit. That would also fit, ironically, but I don't think they'll pick that one.
Exactly. Something like Cassiopeia and Shen, or like Victor and Shen, you're thinking, yeah, that's something that can hold up in every lane and then can really fight.
Well, Maokai may be going straight back to team fight. They do it. Maokai, Cassiopeia round out the draft.
You and I were actually talking earlier about like throwback team compositions back all the way to 2014. And we're like, when Braum is with Maokai and then also some type of like shielding mid laner, it's just insane team fighting. And they don't quite have the shielding in there, but they still have the Maokai Braum for an insane front line and the Cassiopeia, Graves, and Sivir for huge amounts of backline damage. So Cloud9 is going with that bully-style, brute force teamfight composition, and Immortals is going to have to be ready for it.
And it's always where I've been impressed with Cloud9, their aggression in their team play together. Generally when they're playing 5v5s, not the map. And again, their macro plays certainly improved, but I think Game 1 showed that Immortals more than happy to hang there. Cloud9, again, going to go back to a bit more of a brute force style, as I wonder what the last pick here for Immortals is.
Yeah, and Immortals are going to have to pick, you'd think, a lot of damage with this pick because there's a huge front line to cut through. If they go with Lulu, like, there's the damage. That's the damage. All right, here we go, because they really need damage against that front line, and I think Victor is one of the best mid lane champions against tanks, just because it's so hard to run in through the gravity field, the Chaos Storm, and the Death Rays again and again. So that pick makes sense. The Lulu would not have.
No, and I think maybe Possability is thinking a patch ahead. Too much uncensored perhaps is overloaded, but he's going to take the trademark victory we expected in Game 1. Kind of a curious matchup there versus Jensen. Really interested to see how that one plays out, but Jensen, I think he wants he needs a boost, I will say. Like, if he's been struggling a bit in these last few games, he's definitely shown some uncharacteristic flubs here and there. Just go off. Give Jensen power.
Which is crazy, because up until this week, Jensen was a god.
Yep.
Like, he was doing everything right. He was dodging all the skill shots. Teams would try and focus him. He'd just slap them away, basically, and they'd never be able to get pressure in his lane. But this week, for whatever reason, he has been able to be shut down a little bit. And I don't know about you, Patriot Time, but I really want this to go 3 games. Yesterday we had a bunch of 2-0s. Today we've had a bunch of 2-0s. I want to cast League of Legends, and I want to cast a close series, so let's see what happens this game.
I hope you get it too, but as we're getting down onto Summoner's Rift, take a second to snap a pic and share how you watch the LCS with us and the world. Tweet at LoL eSports with the hashtag LOCKIN. Send us your photos so we can show off the coolest LCS battle stations on air.
Yeah. Lock in, slightly different hashtag than we've had before.
It's a great
also,
one.
you can do the C9 win or IMT win if you want to get that fan vote in.
Get them all in there.
Yeah.
Hashtag
Hashtag 3 games, please. Although, if Immortals crushes with this team composition, I mean, they have their synergy of the Soraka in Italy. They can win lanes, and they can still siege quite well with this. So, super well-deserved if Immortal does it. It builds up the storyline of them being super dominant team. I want some games, Pastry.
I do too. Given how Game 1 ended, despite where Immortals were in that game as far as leads go, we had a fun end to that one. So we'll see if Cloud9 can give Jet his wish and force the 3rd game in what's already a great series, or if Immortals will take a 2-0. Cloud9 going to move again at level 1, just see if they can get some aggression down. Did this before, I think maybe checking for some lane swap wards, but good tri-bush ward there already for Immortals, should spot them moving in. And there's the ward down, Impact and Friends, yep, they see them all.
Yeah, bold invade moving in here. If there was one person there, sometimes you would even consider a dive, but I think this is actually very clever by Immortals. They haven't been spotted whatsoever. And being able to sneak your duo lane here when a team does deep lane swap wards denies so much information. So Cloud9 will definitely want the lane swap, but by no means will they be able to get it without total guesswork.
Yeah, it's going to be an effective blind lane swap here. Immortals have tracked every single movement.
This is key.
Although not spotted just yet.
Yeah, they didn't get spotted by that ward, but they're pinging the brush saying there's probably a ward there. And this is going to be clever. Sometimes, based on the deep wards here that Cloud9 has placed, Cloud9 will assume the duo lane is starting down bottom. So when someone walks to lane, they could walk through this area and you can get a face check. And this is so far in the making.
Yep, there's Exhaust actually already down, but Smoothie there to cover. Not going to be anything else after that, I don't think. Ward down from Immortals, just in case. They'll zone them off a bit, but we're actually going to start inverted standard lanes. I think Cloud9, if you want to get aggressive, this is a good way to do it.
Yeah, if Adrian was Braum, that would have been a lot more threatening. Face checking into Soraka isn't that bad.
Nope.
So I'm actually a little surprised to use the Exhaust. It looked like Wild Turtle didn't want to fight because he's like, dude, they have Braum. Like, if it's a 2v2, even if they face check us, they'll win. So because Sneaky had Smoothie behind him, he was in no real danger. And this actually puts Cloud9 up a summoner spell.
Well, let's see if Meteos maybe takes a visit to any of these lanes and starts to get that Cloud9 aggression going. But right now, Adrian busy tossing bananas and zoning people away as Meteos. This is awfully cheeky. He's in up top lane for level 2.
They know the exhaust is down, so if Smoothie gets the passive onto Adrian or Turtle, they can kill him.
Flashes straight in for it, but Turtle gonna flash out of the way. Sneaky gonna flash in, they tag him with the Winter's Bite. He's gonna get stunned up here, and they're gonna try and take him down, but the TP's in for Immortal. He's gonna arrive, looks to chase down Sneaky. Blade turns in and gets first blood. That turns so pear-shaped for Cloud9.
And it's so key here, actually. We didn't get to see it on screen, but the fact that Impact had early teleported made that gank a really bad idea for Cloud9 because it was matched by Huni. Now Rainover is looking for more.
He's actually maybe going to get something else here. Does get tagged up, but he's chasing. Snare lands in, does get Smoothie. Huni flashes forward, he wants blood. He'll take out Meteor. Smoothie's going to die as well.
I said I wanted 3 games, Pastry. Not looking very likely right now after this is start from Immortals. Such a quick turn by Immortals to know exactly the mistake that was made by Cloud9 and exactly how to punish it, because it was in a vacuum. That gank from Meteos is great. You know they're a Soraka lane. They can't hit back with very much damage. They're down and exhausted, so therefore you get the stun, you can get a kill. Sneaky was just level 1 though, and he doesn't get the Boomerang Blade to hit. He should have held that until after Wild Turtle's Flash to get the guaranteed back and forth. But the damage isn't very high right there, and then Huni comes in. Maokai can't match because he doesn't have teleport, so they win that. Meteos then flashes, and they know Smoothie flashed in order to get the first one, which means Rainover now has a safe dive, so all they have to do is get the minions to the turret so they can assist on this, and they still have a lot of flashes. Cloud9 needs to fully run away, but Meteos does a little hop step back. Rainover gets there, they get stunned by Jhin, Huni then uses Flash, and they get yet another kill. The perfect punish for what seemed like a smart idea by Meteos, but was actually a really bad one due to the teleport discrepancy.
And Immortals again, high pressure, good decision making, and aggressive are trademarks of their game, although Jensen and Pobelter gonna go head to head. Pobelter just barely gets away from that, as Huni also got the top lane outer turret as well. So to add insult to injury, Immortals are already almost 2,500 gold ahead in this game.
Yeah, and Huni is 1,000 gold ahead of Impact, and has a wave coming to his turret that normally I'd say don't freeze this, but it's so early that they could actually freeze this and get away with it.
We'll have to see, but again, matching down in these standard lanes while Turtle and Adrian going to continue trying to bully. Sneaky just clearing out what he can, but still the XP lead here for the Immortals duo lane after those early kills. Mid lane, kind of the only one floating relatively well for C9 right now, but Jensen couldn't get that kill after the all-in. And everyone's just kind of using their summoners, and they'll probably just keep farming for the next few minutes. So look for these junglers, but Immortals already up so much gold.
Yeah, and Meteos really far behind. A lot of times, you don't see people going with those 2 early jungle enchants because they don't give extra experience for having both the Hunter's Machete and the Hunter's Talisman, but he wants to upgrade his jungle item very quickly, maybe to Challenging Smite or just Trackers to get some wards down. Meanwhile, Rainover hit that already, gets deep wards down onto Meteos, and Meteos really can't do anything about it, so the pressure will continue onto C9. Now that Meteos has already had his Raptor buff popped, and there's still 2 wards in his jungle.
Yeah, this is a Rainover special. Just get in the enemy jungle once you get a lead and never ever let them out of your sight. Meteos is going to struggle to farm this one out, although Impact and Huni. Nice trade here from Impact. Huni a little too much perhaps.
He took a lot of damage from the minion wave, so even though he had that 1,000 gold lead coming into this lane, the double door hands, Maokai is taking him quite low. When he hits level 6, he might actually hit level 6 and go for an all-in onto Impact. I think that's actually what he's hoping for.
He's close. We'll have to see. Rainover's up here as well. Meteos is stranded on the bottom side.
Yeah, they caught Meteos. They know he's not
there. Juke back into it! And now Huni's going to stun him with Equilibrium Strike. Hop skip there as Impact's forced to flash away.
Yeah, and because Huni was so low, he gets the stun from Equilibrium Strike. That was what he was planning. As he knows he's going to be able to hit level 6 and heal back up with his ultimate. So they get the flash. Jensen has to roam up, losing a little bit of pressure in lane, and Immortals' pressure continues.
Yeah, still looking good for Jensen though. Tier stacking up, even on CS right now with Pobelter, despite the short exit from mid lane. Cassio should be able to farm just fine, but again, Pobelter is just going to death ray the wave. Already got that first upgrade on the Hex Core, so unless Jensen can make some moves, and with Ignite Cassiopeia, might be a bit of a struggle. This mid lane's just going to be super solid for Immortals, and that's all they need it to be given the lead they've gotten. Yeah,
maybe Jensen can make some type of crazy play, but I mean, Pobelter's even brought the exhaust, which I specifically like against the Cassiopeia, because even though the Cassiopeia rework has changed a few things, the theory is the same. Like Cassiopeia and I would say Ryze are the most AD carry-like mid laners. Because, and Azir actually at this point, where they do huge amounts of damage, but it's over a sustained period of time, so the exhaust is easier to get effectiveness out of. A lot of times against like assassins, like LeBlanc, you can't exhaust efficiently, but they just did so much damage to Sneaky. There's a couple of spells right there. Anyway, it'll make it really hard for Jensen to kill possability, because if he ever gets an advantage, possability can just drop the exhaust, cut the damage incredibly low, and Jensen won't be able to machine gun him to death.
Sorry, I'm just still reeling from the amount of Soraka deeps that Adrian just dished out. I assume that's a level 3 Q.
He's maxing Star Call, so it does 150 magic damage if he lands it.
Well, that was quite a lot. Sneaky, pretty squishy right now on the old Sivir. As you can see, the C9 fan vote there for the team, but Immortals starting to get a little closer. Almost 40% of the vote there. And after game 1, can't really blame them. Seems like the Immortals fans are woken up a bit. As Adrian, or Wild Turtle, excuse me, continue to push down. Sneaky falls back, but he's just a buy BF sword.
You can really tell Adrian and Wild Turtle are very comfortable playing Soraka. They have a really cute wave clear pattern going there where Adrian will use his rank 3 Star Call on the back wave, and then Wild Turtle will press his Q on it, and it's just ding, 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 all 3 minions very early on. A lot of times, Soraka, you expect it to max a heal for the more passive lane, but they're against dual lane with a Braum who is going to be pushed in for most of it. So instead of maxing his heal, Adrian's going for more harass, and they're actually able to bully the lane a little bit with Soraka, who most people see as purely a defensive laner.
Yep, very impressive there. Immortals holding firm control of that current 2v2. Mid laners have blue buffs as well, so make their farming lives a little bit easier. Reignover, though, continuing to fly through the jungle. Meteos has done a nice job keeping up in CS despite the early deficit, but he needs to shop. Reignover just super efficient around the jungle right now.
Yeah, 800 gold lead for Reignover. Meteos is sitting on nearly 2,000 gold, 1,800 after he kills a few more camps. He'll be up around 2K. Hopefully he's able to just full upgrade a warrior, because that's what he needs to have any type of dueling power. That's what he's going to do.
Yep, time to go back, so item should come through. There's Huni, just getting the wave pushed. Hey. So maybe with now level 6 as well, looks to get some pressure down on his land. First gank went a little sideways. See if Meteos can improve on that situation, as again, Jensen. Pretty easy to farm on Cassio under turret. You can just see how much control Immortals have here in the bottom lane. Judy and Sneaky just hiding in brushes, like very meekly clearing out farm as best they can.
Yeah, and one thing I will say for Cloud9 is that Impact has done a heck of a job staying even with Huni. After Huni was able to teleport in and get 2 quick kills and 1,000 gold advantage. Like, the gold advantage has extended a little bit to 1,500, but just the fact that he hasn't died in that 1v1 while keeping his farm up is good.
Especially in a long lane. Very impressive there from Impact, as Immortals going to take a pretty easy Ocean Drake for themselves. Cloud9 not really up for a fight at this stage, so that'll be taken away and given over to Immortals, who will once again take the first Drake of the game. Sneaky this time, battling Wild Turtle. Smoothie goes in, does tag him with the Winter's Bite. Passive, needs a few more bullets. Spearman Blade going to go wide, though. Now Adrian could be the target. Going to have to flash, though.
Yeah, I would say poor pathing from Adrian right there. Just walks right through a bunch of minions and 80 carry out of support. Took way more poke than he needed to, but interestingly enough, they have Ocean Drake, which for Soraka and Italy is amazing. Like, the fact that since Adrian can still regen as long as he isn't damaged by champions, his heals won't break that Ocean Drake regen for missing health, so it just superpowers the Soraka healing.
Must be nice. Well, Adrian will certainly take it, and there we go. Everyone's back to full. So it cost him a summoner, but that's all it cost Adrian. He knew he's ready with the battle Soraka. Yeah. Again, more wave clear. Ooh, good snare actually. Doesn't quite. It's Sneaky spell shield, interestingly enough. But again, Sneaky keeping up in farm. So things not too bad. As Huni going to go aggressive. He's going to trade in here into Impact. Pops the ulti. Impact claps his hands. Going to reduce some of that damage, but Reignover's here as well. This is a long way home, Impact. Spear. Oh, does flash it.
But now you have no flash.
Yeah, twisted advance on. Meteos is here. Can he turn around? The answer is no. Reignover gets the kill.
Yep, and they can be super aggressive with that gank because they know how far ahead they are. Even though Meteos is there at the tail end of that gank, he's also a little bit far behind. Can't do much.
Oh, piece of play.
Q teleport.
Immortals wants to go in for it. Huni looking for Sneaky. Good flash for the last bullet. Oh, barely misses from Turtle. Might keep chasing.
Look where Poebelter is. He's flanked.
He's ready. Got the flank onto Sneaky. Death ray down. Pops the ulti. Goodbye, Siva.
Yeah, and this is another example of Immortals always being ahead on the play. Huni didn't have to flash to try and secure a kill because Poebelter had wandered deep into the jungle of Cloud9 and was able to catch Sneaky. So very impressive stuff from Immortals once again.
And going to get maximum value, of course, out of their teleport. Going to look to take this out of bottom turret as well. Huni Plenty of attack speed there with the double dagger. Just going to surf away to a minion, tank up the wave because he's got Adrian in his back pocket with an Ocean Drake, and that'll be another tower now for Immortals, continuing to hold control of this game, and they're 5k up already.
Yep, this is another one of those games potentially where Immortals can just take over. Watching this one more time, they had just secured the kill on the top side, so they have a deep ward. C9 is getting a little aggressive in lane. Cue the teleport from Huni. Smoothie actually misses the Q, but he is typically safe. And look at Pobelter's roam from the mid lane. He had just shoved in the wave against Cassiopeia, so Sneaky has no good place to run away. Blown up.
And again, Pobelter, like, the fact that he's there that early just tells you how organized Immortals were to get down there for that play. Excellent cross map once again as Jensen going to take his own blue buff now. Strong independent Cassiopeia, doesn't need no Meteos.
Yeah, and this isn't necessarily a game where Jensen has been getting bullied. It's been the game where the rest of Cloud9 is also just not able to convert. So that can have a similar effect on a mid laner as far as your effectiveness in the game, because currently he's able to farm just fine, but Pobelter's, you're never going to outshove a Victor.
No.
So they can trade farm, but because the rest of his team is so far behind, his roams wouldn't have any effectiveness. So Cloud9 need to really hope that they can get some side wave control going with their wave clear and stall this out to team fights. Much easier said than done against Immortals.
Especially now that the Rift Herald's going to go over as well. Perhaps Raynover gets it for himself, is actually going to take it. Only on the wrong side of the map, but Immortals just going to take it off the map. Might as well give themselves the buff. As Pobelter still hanging out. Just going to clear out what he can. Wants to make sure he doesn't get too close to Jensen. Jensen does have Ignite, so potential kill pressure there. But Pobelter's done a great job playing the lane, just getting the farm where he can, and he knows the rest of his side waves are winning. This is the easiest game of Pobelter's life at this point. Playing Victor and the lanes are winning.
Yeah, that is the best feeling, because Victor is such a good team fighter, especially when your team is ahead. And the enemy tanks are behind, so he'll actually be able to blow them up if they end up getting to the team fight phase.
Ooh, Mooney 1v3 right now. Not a good look. This tower could go down. Immortals finally behind on a play, kind of. Actually pushing top lane out.
Yeah, I'll agree that they're behind on this play. Raynover could have been here to potentially stop this because of how strong they were as a duo, but let's see where it goes from here.
Yeah.
Because there's no one that can actually help Impact out in that lane.
Did Raynover flash? He did, but they actually might nail Impact. Get silenced down, gonna get snared up as well. A very creative tower to have an Impact. He's got his ulti ready, but he's not that strong, and Raynover's gonna get him again.
Yeah, he clears the wave out, but there was no teleport that could even help him. Now they're going to continue. How well can Huni hold this off? They run out of minions, and the push on the other side is going to continue. I feel like I've seen this play before.
I think I have as well. Pobelter also coming down to that bottom side of the map, so Cloud9 do have to be careful. Huni,
they're going to try 2v3.
All right, they're looking for it. Huni goes back in. Pobelter straight for it. Looks for Sneaky. Almost plays on Smoothie and will get him, actually, as the exhaust cannot keep him alive. Meteor's getting chased down. That ulti hurts.
Huni's going to keep trying to chase. The teleport should stop them.
Huni! Oh, let's go in! Just takes out Sneaky!
Oh, no! And then the teleport was canceled after the kill, so Meteor's is dead too.
Now left hung out to dry. Pobelter going to look for it. Huni wants it. He's going to get the double.
2v4, basically, at the end of that one. Pobelter able to roam over. Huni just goes off because he has such a big lead already, and the distance he cleared to finish that kill on a Sneaky, as well as Impact, just never finding his footing on Maokai. Like, when is that guy going to be able to complete an item? This is all Immortals.
It is, and it just seems like they've never missed a beat since spring. That insult to injury, you talk about Immortals and maximum punishment, did take the tier 2 in the top lane as well, so they even got a turret out of their efforts, as they are obscenely far ahead in gold. 7,500 gold is... I so want to watch this again.
Yeah, so Huni was really far ahead. Remember, Smoothie's level 6, and Sneaky actually took turret aggro, so they're really low by the time this starts. Even though the laser is blocked by the shield, the ult still ticks again. Every 2 seconds, that thing will do damage. It gets the last tick onto Meteos, and then they know how far behind the Maokai is, so they don't care about the teleport. And Huni can just dash straight through it all. The teleport's canceled. I feel like if Maokai actually teleports, he dies too. Huni's able to pick up a few kills, and that can't feel good for Meteos.
No. That's about as much expression as you might get, but Meteos clearly unhappy with that situation. Immortals continuing to snowball this game out of control. Going to look to take Mountain Drake nice and early here as they're about to hit the 17-minute mark. Cloud9 in position to contest, but it is not advised.
Yeah, we'll see how patient Immortals is with this one. They still have teleport on Huni, so they're probably just hoping that Cloud9 make a slight committal.
Well, Ocean Drake Soraka commits to nothing. Immortals actually back away. And Cloud9 go back to clear waves.
That is very true. Like, even if Cloud9 is able to get down harass, none of it's going to stick against this team right now.
Enough pressure to get them out from under the Drake though, so mildly successful for Cloud9 as Sneaky starting to shove in waves pretty heavily. Does have the Essence Reaver built up. Turtle going to swap things up as well, has his own Essence Reaver this time as Immortals with 2 quick double Rylai's. Oh boy.
Yeah.
It's looking tricky. I don't know if we're going to try and solo this. Oh no, he's got Blitz.
Yeah, I mean, aside from the Boomerang Blade, maybe stealing from Sneaky, not much would be doing, and he's got to be careful to stay safe.
Doesn't go for it actually. I'll give it over to Immortals, I'll take it. Huni trying to steal jungle away. Hello, he's face straight Meteos.
Try and kill him.
No, goes off to the Scuttle Crab, pops the ulti, Meteos splashes in, Pobert's here now, Meteos gonna get himself blown up, snared away by the Jhin, and he's dead. Wild Turtle snipes him on the other end, and now Smoothie blown to pieces as well.
Yeah, Cloud9 is not the type of team who like to lose slow, so they're still going to continue to try and make plays, but you're really seeing the massive power discrepancy between these two teams, and it's only going to get worse.
Oh, it hurts a lot! Ulti from Jensen, not enough. Turtle gonna get the other kills. Huni dives in for Sneaky and takes it out. Impact under his own turret will be the last one left alive, and that's an ace for Immortals.
Wow, and the thing is now, with the Soraka Nidalee, they can keep going.
Never have to stop. Ocean Drake gonna start kicking in as well. And Immortal Siege, awfully strong, but they give it up this time. Gonna take some jungle instead.
Yeah. The death timers are like 20 seconds long, so I imagine the Cloud9 will be back for some more soon, but that's a 10,000 gold lead now pre-20 minutes, and very nice kill distributions they have going there. 306 on 3 different people, and then Huni has even more participation. Here we go. He gets a stun on Meteos because he's been damaged. Gets a few heals off with his ultimate. Pobelter walks into a pink ward, so Cloud9 can't really see him coming. Meteos just gets popped down by Wild Turtle. Turtle actually misses a shot on a Smoothie, but it doesn't matter. Then, since they have 5 people in the mid lane and there's still 2 dead from Cloud9, they can just continue. Adrian's healing, Rainover's healing. They land a spear, get through the miasma. Even though they get the stun on Pobelter, it doesn't matter because the Soraka eels can come through. Huni just makes Sneaky not matter because he kills him right away with the Trinity Force and now Blade of the Ruin King. And oh my goodness, Pastry.
Yeah. Watching that again, just Huni's positioning, he was literally maximum distance, just outside turret range, waiting, because he knew they were diving. Didn't have his flash, couldn't go super aggressive, but Immortals just playing a game with such strong pressure. The combination of decision-making and execution, Immortals certainly have it as Jensen. Fancy feet? Or just all but one.
Yeah, and I really do kind of feel like watching LCS this week as teams have finished their first half of the split and have started on the second half of the split, the top teams seem to really be differentiating themselves. And I mean, with the way TSM dismantled CLG today and the way Immortals is absolutely eviscerating Cloud9, like, it's looking right now like very clear top 2 in the LCS. Like, I haven't seen Immortals this good yet this year.
Yep.
They are playing almost perfectly and in such a fast
Oh, Huni, is this a tower dive? Really? Going straight on to Impact. Impact can't do anything. That is disgusting.
No. And he's got Blade of the Ruin King to start healing back up. He didn't even have minions there, and he soloed a Sunfire Kate Maokai in a turret.
Didn't even need Soraka ulti. Had plenty of help. Pobelter was actually here as well to do some demolition work. They're going to knock down this turret for themselves and claim their 5th of the game, but Huni usually plays pretty aggressive at all stages of the game. With a lead this big, welcome to Immortals.
I mean, sometimes these are the kind of games, like even from Immortals side, that can be damaging a little bit to you long term, because like it feels so easy once you get such a big lead and you're able to take such enormous risks. You stop being able to judge like what a reasonable risk is because everything works. 15-0, they want to dive.
Well, they do. That's kind of been their MO for what, game and a half.
Meteos.
Meteos tags. That looks bad. It is. Rainover takes him out. Smoothie almost dies with the door up. Eats the last bullet there. Oh my god!
17-0, continuing the push.
And again, only the perfect Drakes they needed for this comp. Didn't really need too much help, but they got it. Immortals gonna knock down this mid and hit Cloud9. Too far behind to defend. Huni!
You had to do it, Huni, didn't you?
He absolutely did. Jensen gets all back. Didn't even use his ulti.
What did he think was going to happen? Like, did he think Soraka's got him or something? Or he was trying to save the minions by tanking it? So much for the shutout by Immortals.
Yep.
Tarnishing
their good name. Unfortunate.
Man.
I mean, look, the shutdown's good goal for Jensen.
Yep.
If nothing else, that's definitely help that Immortals did not need to give them, but that Cloud9 will take. This game, though, is still improbable for Cloud9. It'll take multiple miracles in a row because the Immortals are still so far ahead. And you know what? You said it already. Maybe this is the bad kind of game to win because you start doing stuff you shouldn't do. Huni, a shining example.
Yeah, that's exactly what you shouldn't do.
How did this happen?
Again, I mean, yeah, well, first off, they kill Meteos, and then Smoothie with the Unbreakable Shield.
He's like, I'm fine, nope.
Oh, that fourth shot, guaranteed crit, and then...
He's here. How did this...
Yeah, well, he just takes turret aggro, right? He jumps in early because they only have a few minions, and the minions give lower the armor and MR of the turret, but like...
Oh.
He just stayed around too long. He's like, oh, my bad. I stayed around too long. Sorry, guys. Death Rush, though.
The unseen kill is the deadliest. As Cloud9 looking a little desperate now. No face check. I mean, you have to try it.
Yep. Rainover playing cautiously enough. It's going to be hard to burst him as well with the Rileys and his Zanyas.
And Cooney pressuring bottom lane as well. We've already seen how reckless he wants to be. possability flashes in. Hello. On to Sneak. He looks for it, doesn't get it. Jensen trying to zone them away. This could be Cloud9. Going in onto possability. Exhausted down. They'll blow him up. Impact actually taking good damage, but Huni finally makes his way around. Immortals, though, scattered to the wind. Huni diving in. Goes straight for them, but he's going to get CC'd up. Impact still taking his Colonel. Blows up Sneaky, flashing forward for a bullet. But Immortals actually, this one goes a little awry. It's a triple kill for Jensen. And now Turtle may be down as well.
Quadrant
going to go down, but he gets it. He actually got it. Going for it again. Oh, no, not going to get it. But he'll get the Quadra.
Essentially a pentakill, though, and Impact gets one kill. And we were joking about Jensen getting the shutdown on Ahuni, but now he just got 4 shutdowns onto all of Immortals, and they're doing Baron. They can't do this. They are solo. So Cassiopeia is insane at Baron. The teleports are down. If Impact can tank all of this damage, Jensen has enough mana. They can actually get this.
They're going to try for it. They have to. C9 might have actually turned things around. They're still 10,000 gold behind, but they are going to get Baron. Holy moly.
And I'm glad when you said their chances of turning this game around were improbable. Smart choice of words, because you don't want to say impossible. Anything can happen in these types of games. It is also sneakily hard to end a game against Cassiopeia, but here we go. This fight, possability flashes in, doesn't get good damage down. Impact goes in, locks down possability, also on top of Braum ultimate, so they can't kite very quickly. Huni is late to the fight, so they're already down their main damage dealer, and he tries to go in on Sneaky, but then he too gets locked down. The focus and damage was also very spread by Immortals since Turtle couldn't get in on the fight. And even if Cassiopeia is far behind, we talked about the machine-like type damage since they could never focus Jensen. Impact does get that one kill. Can you imagine a pentakill while down 13,000 gold? Like, I don't think that has ever happened in competitive play. Super close to happening right there. But it moves it to 7,000 or so and makes the stall a possibility.
Well, we talked about Jensen kind of needing a redeeming game. This could be it, because that's how it starts. I said multiple miracles were required. I'm going to count that as 1.5 to 2.
I'd say 1.
Okay.
Multiple, 2 or 3 more, although they will be more probable miracles. That was the most improbable miracle we've seen. Yeah, Jensen's big now.
Yes.
And there's not tremendous dive by Immortals to get in on him unless they get some clean stuff off. Like, that was one thing we mentioned about Immortals team composition. They had the poke and they had Huni to go in, but was fairly glass cannon beforehand, and like because Immortals was snowballing ahead so early, like everything looked great. But as far as like a team fight brute force composition, that's what Cloud9 made. Huge tank line, bunch of backline damage, and it shouldn't have happened. They should have lost the game. It should be over. But Huni gave a random kill over to Jensen. They go overly aggressive on their second push in the mid lane. They give shutdowns again, and all of the gold goes to Jensen. So Jensen actually has more gold than possability now, despite Cloud9 being down 5 turrets, 7 turrets to 2, as well as 3 Drakes. Unreal.
Alrighty then. Immortals, deep breaths, as they are going to have to try and maybe play a little bit calmer, trying to end this game around. C9 though, this game is doable. Mid and hip down, it'll respawn relatively soon. It's the easiest one to defend. No major objectives on the map right now. There is space for Cloud9 to collect themselves. And after that fight, that may be the momentum they need to make an almost impossible comeback. But Immortals, a team, we'll see how they reset. Because you said it before, this is a team that maybe gets a little ahead of themselves sometimes. Yeah. They should not make those mistakes again. And
as casters, we also like to be very hopeful as soon as a comeback happens and we start talking about like all the ways that it could happen since it had been such a storm. It's still unlikely that Cloud9 would come back. And oftentimes we build these things up and then Immortals just get one more team fight and the game is over. Because that is still the breaking point we're on right now. If Immortals, since they have an inhibitor down and so much gold on so many people, get one good fight, the game is over. And it's still going to take multiple good fights if Cloud9 want any chance of winning this game.
Well, the best thing is, not only do we get to see how these two teams fare after some pretty interesting adversity on either end, I feel like mental fortitude gets tested a lot here. Because, again, if you talk about players needing windfalls, Jensen is one of them, and that was a huge windfall he got. And Immortals, one shred of doubt could turn this game around, because that's pretty much what that last moment was. A little too aggressive from Pobelter. They are going to reset things again. Need to calm themselves down and close out a game that they know they are still very far ahead in.
Yeah, and I think it's fairly important that Huni keeps up split push pressure and that they do a good siege here with their Nidalee Soraka combo. Impact's not going to be able to stick long term against Huni. Even with the Nexus turret, or even with the inhibitor turret helping. The Blade of the Ruined King will be able to wear down Impact, but maybe Immortals waits for the next Baron buff. We'll see. With an exposed inhibitor, they might be able to go in and get this. And unless Cloud9 sees a high percentage fight, they might want to consider giving this one up.
Well, summoners are up everywhere, so definitely a big fight could happen, but Immortals probably going to play this safe. Look to just try and take this inhibitor as best they can. Cloud9 feels like they want to go in.
Yeah, if Impact could get a nice twisted advance on a priority target, but as you mentioned, every summoner up, so both teams could flash in or away, making a hard commit initiation much more difficult.
Cloud9 do have a choice to make. They don't have to hold here, but it looks like they want to.
Exactly. With the double Ocean Drake and the Soraka, any poke Immortals land will stick, and nothing that C9 do will stick. So they either have to go in hard or just give this up.
Yeah, and again, trying to zone them off. Smoothie puts the door up, but Impact, a little caught, gets himself zoned away. The damage is too much, and he can't quite find it. He punches out. Shields everywhere, but it doesn't protect the inhib. Cloud9 barely save Impact's life.
Yeah, and that seemed like a foregone conclusion as far as what was going to happen in that fight. Immortals doesn't have to burn a single summoner spell, but they do burn a few ultimates. Sneaky has to heal, and Impact had to flash away. That could be pretty critical as far as finding a fight down the road for Cloud9. The inhibitor is going to go down. They have no problems with that, and they shouldn't have problems with that because they can wave clear very easily with the Cassiopeia and the Sivir. So I'd say they shouldn't have stuck around for that one, and you saw why in the fight.
Yep, just lost some cooldowns that maybe they didn't need to give away. Baron up in a minute 45 or so. Drake will be Mountain up in a minute 20, so no Elder Dragon spawn just yet for these teams to consider. But it's on the way soon, and we're starting to get real hefty on the item builds at this point. 3 items for both Pobelter and Wild Turtle. Jensen, of course, 3 items working on, I think, a Void Staff. And 3 for Sneaky means, again, like, was kind of there for damage on both these sides. I think Impact is still behind as far as tank items go. Now just getting a Giant Spell, whereas Huni he's ready. He's ready to dive the backline again.
Yeah, and I actually think with Impact, I don't know if there will be a point in this game where he can actually feel tanky.
Yeah.
With the way Turtle has already multiplied his damage and the way Pobelter has completed his death cap, he's already behind the curve, and when Victor and Jin scale into max items, they'll shred through almost any tank. Well, plus it's good damage diversification with magic and physical.
Impact, I guess, just going to have to find the right angle for a twisted advance because he can still have a huge effect on these team fights. Cloud9, though, I think feeling like they want to defend around these objectives more than anything else. Giving stuff away for free, generally a bad idea in League of Legends, so Cloud9 going to move out and just peer forward, see if they can't see what Immortals are up to around these next big objectives.
I will say that Cloud9's damage-dealing core is equal to what Immortals has as far as Pobelter and Turtle go, but this is a nice initiation. This is what they wanted.
Impact caught again, but it's pretty tanky. Shrugs off the poke. Healed up there as well.
Great hold for Cloud9 right there, actually. Like, that initiation we just saw from Immortals is kind of the only way they initiate if they don't want Huni to fly in as Aurelia.
Gotta find those picks, but Cloud9 doing a good job sticking together. Huni, though, gonna take this Drake away. That'll prompt the Elder Dragon spawn and give Immortals a second Mountain, which might be nice for breaking some of these side lanes. Baron could be the real big objective then, given that C9 absolutely go nowhere near that bottom half of the map.
Yeah, it'll mean Elder Drake falls very quickly, Baron will fall very quickly, but at the same time, they don't have any Infernal Drakes, like you said, and if Cloud9 gets a full-on teamfight composition, those aren't combat stats for anyone on Immortals, which I think is probably the best Cloud9 could hope for.
Well, Immortals actually now grouping up towards that Baron area, so we'll start to hit another big point. Immortals have to be awfully careful about not getting for in
Meteor's
Baron.
in a bad spot.
Oh no.
He got split off from the rest of his team.
Not good news. Meteor's going to get chunked out, caught again. That's the one thing that couldn't happen, and it does. They're going to try to turn around, but Huni going crazy. Still got a GA Turtle. Flashes in, but Jensen, he gets killed on the other end by Turtle. Pobelter's now going to chase down Sneaky and Immortal. 4 straight kills They're not even going to bother with impact.
Yeah, we said it was just one thing that would have to break for Cloud9, and somehow Meteos is siloed off from the rest of his team. Just a lack of teamwork right there, where he took the high road, the rest of his team took the low road there, and that'll do it. They had the one turnaround fight, but this will be game.
Yep, they only got one. Immortals were still in prime position to try and take over, and they are going to knock down these Nexus turrets with ease. Immortals, after a bit of a hiccup, a dominating series, 2-0 versus Cloud9.
Yeah, and an unfortunately anticlimactic end, as it seemed like Cloud9 had caught the miracle fight and may have been able to stall out, but ultimately it just delays the game about 7 minutes, because this was a game that from the start was heavily dominated by Immortals. Very early lead, snowballed it very aggressively. The aggression caught up with them a little bit in the middle, which made the game stretch, but still, like you said, a dominant game and a dominant series.
And Immortals very rarely make mistakes. Weren't too many, apart from some obvious ones there, but again, very clean, great punish game, always keeping up pressure, excellent macro objectives. Like, Immortals just have everything as a team.
Yeah.
And that's scary, because you said it earlier in that game. You've never seen Immortals look this good. They looked pretty damn good last season.
And then they went full Immortals by giving a quadra kill with a 13,000 gold lead. But I agree with you. And one of the most impressive things to me about Immortals is how they can consistently find fights without having compositions that excel in finding fights, because they're very good at controlling the map and forcing those things. And for Cloud9, a really unfortunate week for them. It's got to be extremely disappointing. They moved in at 6-2 with a bunch of hype. They're going to be leaving it 6-4. And no longer in the conversation for competing at the very top, because you have TSM at 10-0, Immortals at 9-1, and then several losses down, you're going to be seeing Cloud9. So very disappointing week for Cloud9, and they're going to have to find a way to bounce back.
Yeah, and it does sort of feel like the honeymoon's over in a lot of ways. Like, struggles in week 1 magically disappeared in the early weeks, and then Cloud9 just plowed through a bunch of teams.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for them, okay, like, it's a long season. They're going to have to really move aggressively through this back half now that we're, more than halfway through.
Yeah, I definitely think this was a bit of a regression for Cloud9, because very early on in the season, it looked like, yeah, okay, they have the individual skill, but the teamwork just isn't there. And then week over week, the teamwork kept getting better, and we assumed that it would just constantly get better, but like, life's a journey, right? It doesn't just constantly go up. You're going to have ebbs and flows and dips in between, and this was a dip for Cloud9. Their teamwork was worse today. Meteos made a fair bit of poor decisions in a lot of these games, from the early ganks with the teleport disadvantage being there, and then late in the game where the comeback was effectively stopped because he got caught out of position. So they got to keep improving, take the lumps, move on.
Certainly do. But following that strong 2-0 showing, we wanted to catch up with Immortals' impeccable top laner, so Freak is waiting stage side for an interview.
Thank you very much, Pacey Chime. Great cast of the day. Yes, I'm here with the wonderful Huni. Haven't seen you in a while. How you doing, buddy?
Long time no see, guys. Woo! But still, yeah. I was, just preparing a summer split every regular season, and then just doing well.
Yeah, you are doing very well. So talk to me then about preparing for the summer split. You got some nice Aurelia games. We're back on Huni carrying really hard. Talk to me about sort of your learning experiences then. Right? New patches, the game's changing a bit. Talk to me about what your preparation was like getting ready for the sort of the new look at the game in summer.
First of all, just between the Spring Split, there was a lot of OP, the tank champion, and I was still playing damage champion. So it was doing well, quite doing well, and then we just lose at playoff. But still, in summer split, there was like big passionate from tank. Like they're actually nerfing a lot. At the same time, they're buffing like Black Cleaver, which means like counter tank. Like even Trinity Force counter tank also. Like AP champion, there's like protobelt, like awesome items, So that's why like I could pick up like a lot of champion, like something like Irelia or Rumble. That's why I think I'm doing really well.
And it's showing really wonderfully. And I know players that are doing well on your team. Pobelter has been getting a lot of credit as well. So far this split, everyone seems to like him a whole lot. What have you seen as his teammate? What has made Pobelter so much better this split around?
I think he was really good still. Like even Spring Split, he was, I think, more like a sacrifice for me because we were playing our own top a lot. At the same time, he had to play like real safe. But for now, it's like we're get more used to, and then we adopt a patch notes. At the same time, we're just playing more as a team. That's why I think that makes us like really like stronger. Even we compare a Spring Split, also like beginning of Summer Split. So I think there was a lot of improvements.
I agree. You as a team have looked really amazing. I want to once again talk about that matchup, though, because we were very focused on Jensen versus Pobelter. Jensen was the all-league mid laner for the last split. He has a lot of hype around him. How did you feel about those two facing off? Was Pobelter always going to win that, or was there's some concern there that Jensen could maybe body him or something?
For me, I'm pretty sure just Porter, just as a player, he's way better. And then
Wow.
I'm pretty sure he's just in NA LCS, must be his best player by far. As
Pobelter's the best player in North America?
just best mid laner.
Best mid laner.
Because I'm the best player, so.
You're the best player. Of course you are. One final question then for you. Next week, you're facing off against Liquid, who look like maybe a top 3 team now in North America. Talk to me about what you've seen in that team and how you'd prepare for them.
For me, I appeared against Team Liquid. We have never lose against them, so we're gonna keep track that.
All right, lost 0 games against Liquid. Cooney, thank you very much. Congratulations on a great victory right there, 2-0. And now we're going to send it over to the analyst desk.
Myself. Thank you very much, Vic. That was an enjoyable interview with Hooney there. They always are, to be honest with him. But Immortals 2-0 over Cloud9. That's surprising, right? We saw the last time these two teams faced off, it was a much closer 2-1 series. This time around, Immortals looking quite dominant in their showings.
I think C9 just looked like they had a rough weekend. I think like the games against TL, obviously they put a lot of attention on Jensen. He got held down. Game 1 this series, Jensen just looked off, and then they made a terrible macro play this game, and from there it's basically unrecoverable. So I think they just definitely did not play well this weekend overall, and we have to see if that's a longer running trend or if this was maybe like a 1-week mistake.
Probably just a 1-week mistake. I'm sure that they'll have to keep their things in sight, but it is a little worrying how much emphasis they put on their play this week, that if it went badly, they're doomed, or it's over. Like, it's really not quite that bad.
As the team comp graphic jumps up onto the screen here, I do want to address the point that Jap brought up, which is very interestingly, Immortals is a team that's able to find fights even when they don't necessarily craft a team comp that can find fights, right? With this, you don't have anything that says, we are fighting now.
Well, see, the thing is, the easiest way for you to find a fight is going to be on wave crashes, because you know where the opponent's going to be and they have no way to move around. So if you always put your play around the wave crashes and wave management, it's going to be very easy for you to find a way to pressure the opponent. And what happens is the opponent feels pressured, and then they're trying to make a play because Immortals is on the faster tempo of the league. They're really good at making it the quick very quick decisions. And then the opposing team's like, oh, they're here already. We got to go fight them. And then they engage on them, and the counter engage or the TP or the flank and surround from Immortals is always very strong.
Especially with good vision. You know where they are, you know where to go to get behind them, to get these flanks off. And we saw a little bit of that this game, where it's just once you're ahead, which Immortals tends to get ahead early with like just the rain over pathing, whatever it is. And then once they're ahead, they work really hard on vision control so that they get good TP flanks or just know where the enemy's coming from, that kind of stuff. So
Yeah,
they get fights through that.
You talk about getting ahead early. Let's go ahead and take a look at how Immortals got ahead in this game. 2-3 minutes into the game off of Cloud9 aggression on the bot lane in the 2v2. Meteor showing up first, but good response from Immortals. Faster teleport.
Not only is the gank just way too forced, because you can see that they blow everything onto Wild Turtle, and he still is barely below 50% HP. They just don't have enough damage. It's a level 2 Graves, and immediately the TP advantage gets punished. And I like the adaptation from Rainover, clearing the bot side, and immediately, instead of routing to the top side and taking his red side jungle, just goes straight stop to try to make this play to punish it even further, and they get 2 more kills. And from this point onward, against a good team, this is game over. You actually cannot recover from the situation.
Right, and I think the big thing was it seemed like a lot of teams this weekend, not just Cloud9, had trouble tracking other teams' teleports, or even like their own. Like, that's not a play you should look for on Graves generally. But then when you lost your TP level 1, I don't know why you look for like a level 2 Graves gank isn't scary. You have blue buff.
Right.
They're trying to force really hard onto Turtle, and I understand that it's not the lane matchups they want, but that's just never going to work when you
I totally agree. There was very many curious things going on there. You're going into a larger minion wave. Your Sivir and your Braum are still level 1 when that starts, as opposed to the level 2 of the opposing bot lane. Then you've got the TP coming in. So yeah, I totally agree. I mean, obviously it wasn't overreach by Cloud9. Great response from Immortals. They get the 3-0. tons of influx of gold, as you just mentioned. That's pretty much game over when you're playing against a team the caliber of Immortals. However, we did see Cloud9 make their kind of one stab back into it, and we'll get to that. Before we do, I want to take a look at an Immortals ace at 18 minutes, 19 minutes into the game. You know, as if things weren't going poorly for Cloud9 as of yet. Huni finding Meteos here in the river.
I mean, this is something you're going to see a little bit of. Huni somehow behind Meteos, and he's able to start the fight. Meteos gets chunked really low, and then they try and chase to punish Huni. It just leads right into the rest of Immortals team comp. And this is kind of what we were talking about, where just by having good vision, we're able to see Huni get these flanks off. He knows where the enemy is, and they don't know where he is.
Yeah.
He didn't have to burn TP there. He just ended up behind Meteos to start that fight.
And the thing is if the gold were even and Huni face checks that bush against Braum Graves, maybe things turn out differently. But it just kind of showcases the allowances that Immortals gets when they do have these early advantages and they do remain relatively grooved.
Yeah, I love how they're just able to pull the trigger and execute on these dives, even though their composition isn't necessarily the strongest dive comp. Because you're so far ahead and because you have the Soraka, champions are normally not that tanky, are able to just be tanks.
Yeah, now...
A little trigger happy, though. We'll see. I mean, he said they like how they pull the trigger. They sometimes pull a little too often.
You got to practice the best of threes and get some leeway.
Absolutely, absolutely. And now, although it did not get Cloud9 the victory, I do want to take a look at the 23.5-minute ace, plus the Baron on the back end of it.
Just watch Pobelter here. This is what I mean by pulling the trigger too often. Just flash ults and sneaky. He just walks away like, what the? And then, you know, see, this is good by C9 to be really decisive. Like, hey, he just blew his flash. Let's punish this. And they just instantly go on to
Flash
Pobelter.
and ult. It's not even doing damage anymore. It's off to the left side.
Yeah, right. So they just instantly go on Pobelter, blow him up. From there, the fight is basically over, but for some reason, Immortals tries to re-engage. They think they're strong enough to take this. They're really not. I mean, Cassio can put out so much damage throughout the course of a fight. Same with Sivir and with Graves as well. They just have a number of threats that just can't be matched by Immortals once they lose.
Just testing the limits.
Yeah, testing the limit. I guess my flash ult did an inch to give Sivir. Guess we lose the fight.
Now I know.
Yeah.
Right? I won't be doing that again. Now I know. Either way, that was the one big win for Cloud9 in that entire game. From there, Immortals smartly ran it right back at them, waited out the Baron buff, and pushed for the victory.
Yeah, a win they didn't even start themselves. It was just another gift. It's been the week of gifts for all the kills that have just been given out for free.
Right, very tough week. Before we hit player of the game, I just want to talk about last point on Cloud9 is the fact that they've had such a tough week. The loss to Team Liquid, then this loss to Immortals when we were, you know, looking at Cloud9 as pretty securely being in that top three. Now there's some questions raised. Curious as well that Doublelift said C9 is the team that they're afraid of, doesn't mention Immortals. So, I'm sitting here a little confused as to the actual power level of this Cloud9 team.
I would not take Doublelift's word on what team is too strong, just because, not because he doesn't know, but it could very well be just trying to, you're trying to mind game your opponent. You're like, oh, I don't respect Immortals. I just think they're
well, that and if
better.
it's coming
and
from
then immediately they get stomped.
Versus...
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, if you're on the Immortal side and then you just stomp Cloud9 and the team that's right above you is mentioning that the team that you just beat has more respect to them than yourselves, that might put them on a little bit of an edge.
So then, what was it today? Just the fact that players like Jensen, for example, weren't showing up to their optimal ability, and that's the reason they lost, or is there something larger at play here?
It's hard to say from the outside because I think, you look at that first game, that TF port, I mean, it was a 1-for-0 before we went in there, I think, and it was just like, what was that play? It's just shocking to see out of Jensen. And he had a couple other mistakes that game. And then here, C9, like, I don't know what their decision was to go for that play. I mean, Crumbs mentioned how they had a similar play last week that had some success where they influenced a bad lane matchup by swinging behind really early.
Right.
But it's one of those things like you think you're in the same situation and you're really not. The situational awareness isn't there. And it could be just, a one-off. They had a bad week,
right,
and they move on. I think that's what we need to look out for. Because if this is the new level of C9, they've taken a step back, then they're definitely not the top three team.
They tripped on the stairs.
they just got turned around, and now they're
just walking back down the ladder, right?
Yeah.
That no one told them that either way, was a tough week for Cloud9. We'll see if they can turn it around for week 2. Player of the game, though, going to go to Huni on that Aurelia, 6-2 and 13. He said it himself. He's the best player in North America.
He almost accidentally admitted his teammate was better.
He told us that Pobelter was, but no.
I'm
He's
putting
the best
myself
player,
down. I
and
gotta
that's, of
make
course,
sure
why
that...
he's on the screen behind us, right?
Yeah, got a lot of flanks off. You saw a ton of those fights just started with him suddenly behind the rest of the team, even without his TPs. The game-winning fight, he actually got onto Meteos again and basically sold him out almost to win the game. So definitely deserving. Huge part of that. Got the TP advantage early. Came into that first blood situation. So. really great game by him overall.
All right, well, that closes us out on NA LCS 2 once again with Immortals taking a victory over Cloud9. It's time now for us to throw you over to NA LCS 1, where Phoenix 1 is looking for their first victory of the split up against Apex. We're in Game 3. Phoenix 1 with a very small gold advantage early on in the game. Check it out.